So, since we've now done 72 stories in a show.
That was 4. We did 4 stories.
Seemed longer.
Can't count.
No, but my innate sense of timing said we had been there a long time.
That's only because it was a story about toilet paper and crap.
And feral cats.
There we go.
Just hard to meld those all together. Apparently.
No, it isn't.
So if you'd like weird things stuck together. Bad picture in my head. Thanks. Like, subscribe, and follow. This is Truly News. Referred to, by our friends as This is Truly News. If you have a question, comment, conundrum, or snark, you can send it off to TITR@netradio.network. Or you can just leave, any sort of comment, good, bad, or ugly, in wherever you found us.
There we go.
Whatever you are streaming this, whatever this is, on.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound grammatically correct. Whatever device on which you are streaming this show.
Up with which I will not put.
Up with. See, just easier. Put the preposition at the end, be done with it. Everybody knows.
This is True, Really News with Scott Combs and Tony Vercanis. All the news you're about to hear is true.
Really?
As far as you know.
This from Ronnie Tucker.
RT.
Des Moines, Iowa, via AP.
Uh-oh.
A Mississippi man accused of destroying a statue of a pagan idol at Iowa State's Capitol is now being charged with a hate crime. Buckle in. This one's going to take a couple turns.
This is the weird...
Yep. The statue was brought to the Capitol by the Satanic Temple of Iowa under state rules allowing religious displays in the building during the holidays.
Wait, are those the Hawkeyes or the Cyclones?
I think they're both. I think it's sort of like Manchester United.
So it's multinational.
Right. The move drew strong criticism.
Multi-stational?
There we are.
Sure.
The move drew strong criticism from state and national leaders, including Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Who cares
he's got time
what
on his
Ron has to say?
Hey, he's got time on his hands now. He's not running for president, so.
On December 14th, the figure depicting the horned deity Baphomet. That doesn't even sound nasty. It doesn't sound like Beelzebub.
Lucifer.
Right.
Father of lies.
Baphomet sounds like the guy who's saying, look, I'm in here. Leave me alone.
Let me out. Dang it.
Anyway.
And that would be what he said, too. Dang it. Maybe darn it if he's really upset.
Or tarnation.
No, he would never say that because he's in Iowa.
Ah, there we go. Anyway,
everyone else says it.
It was destroyed beyond repair, according to the group who put it up. Michael Cassidy, a former congressional and legislative candidate from Mississippi, was charged the next day with fourth-degree criminal mischief, a misdemeanor.
All right.
He told the conservative website, The Sentinel, that my conscience is held captive to the word of God, not to bureaucratic decree, and so I acted.
Way to paraphrase Luther badly.
A document made public last Tuesday charged him with felony third-degree criminal mischief.
How did it get to be a misdemeanor to a felony?
It alleges the act was committed in violation of individual rights under Iowa's hate crime statute.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, hang on. It gets weirder.
It's Iowa. Of course it does.
Evidence shows the defendant made statements to law enforcement and the public indicating he destroyed the property because of the victim's religion. Founded in 2013, the Salem, Massachusetts-based Satanic Temple says it doesn't believe in Satan, but describes itself as a non-theistic religious organization.
I love how the Satanic Temple is trying to distance itself from Satan.
Right. That advocates for secularism. It is separate from the Church of Satan, which was founded in the 1960s. The question I have, so did the devil make him do it or not?
Ba-dum-bum.
You're welcome.
Everywhere in Sweden, in offices and factories alike, the Fika break is sacrosanct. Fika, so if anyone speaks Swedish,
okay.
It's either Fika, Fika,
I thought you might have said fecal there for a
Or
second. I need a
fecal
fecal break every now and again. Need me some of that toilet paper.
The Fika break is sacrosanct. In general, everyone stops work first at about 9:30, and then again at about 2:30. When I first read this, I thought, wow, that's a long break, 9:30 to 2:30. Way to go.
I'm liking this one.
Yeah.
Can I have a raise?
No wonder all those great inventions are just pouring out of Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, at 9:30 and then again at 2:30, there's coffee break time with colleagues. Some companies, the get-togethers are more spontaneous, but everyone ends up in front of the coffee machine, culminating in the Fridags Fika, the Friday coffee break.
Okay.
Well, they not only have coffee, but they linger over pastries as well. I don't linger over my pastries. I eat them.
And look around for more.
And if someone else is needing theirs fast enough, I'll volunteer.
You're going to eat that?
Since the beginning of the year, the Fika has been in turmoil. I tell you, turmoil.
Why? This sounds like a perfectly lovely thing to do.
Well, there was an article in the Communal Workers newspaper.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Communal Arbitaren? Sure.
They're a bunch of neo-Marxists, probably.
Revealing that there is now a charge for the coffee in some local authorities. Worse still, some communes and regions reportedly differentiate between, are you ready for this? They differentiate betwixt socio and professional categories. No. You know, I liked Sweden when I was there, but it was a long time ago. In the region, yes, sir? In the regions, for example, 94% of civil servants are entitled to free coffee, compared to just 75% of care assistants. In some municipalities, employees are asked to fill in a questionnaire when they are hired. If they declare that they like coffee, their salary is automatically cut by a few dozen crowns, which would be a few euros, each month, which I'm guessing goes into the coffee fund. Much like, you know, our Social Security money goes into a fund.
That the government doesn't touch unless it wants it.
Which means, you know, yesterday.
This reminds me, my dad working for the VA, he'd say, well, it's my turn to bring coffee in. And he'd have to take a pound of coffee in, and everybody took turns buying coffee. What's wrong with that?
Do you remember who wrote this?
Yes, I do now that you've brought it to my attention. Okay.
It's like that. The Stockholm region has gone even further. You know, famous for their syndrome. Now, just before Christmas, employees in the health sector learned that they would no longer be entitled to the equally traditional fruit basket, which usually sits next to the coffee machine. According to the Dagens newspaper, which broke the story, the internal memo sent out by the health department listed a number of products that are not considered essential for production of care and would therefore no longer be covered. Alongside the fruit basket was the Fika bread.
Still sounds like poop of some kind.
Yeah, stop it. Which refers to the pastry served with coffee. The penny-pinching savings reflect a calamitous economic situation for local authorities. In 2023,
that I buy.
As we're recording this, would be known as last year, all 21 regions and a third of Sweden's 290 municipalities. Do the math. What's a third of 290?
About 100.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah.
Ended the year with their finances in the red. Wait a minute. A democratic socialist government is in the red?
How is that possible when they all do it?
According to Local Government Association SKL 2024. Of
course, we're not doing all that much better with our corporatist ways lately.
Yeah, we have so far left the free market system that we're basically Sweden east. West? East. West, yeah.
Unless you're facing north or south.
Well, I like that hat. In 2024, set to be even worse, with a deficit rising from 6 billion kroner to 31 billion.
Wowzers.
Which I think is 47 cents.
Yeah, well, it depends whether it's Thursday or not.
The reason for this are inflation and rising interest rates, as well as an increase in needs, particularly in the healthcare sector and care for the elderly. The liberal conservative government, that makes 0 sense to me.
Well, nah, because even
wait for it.
Okay.
The liberal conservative government, backed by the far right, and we all know how evil they are because they're the bad guys in every other TV show.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
announced a 10 billion kroner boost for local authorities. But this will not be enough to avoid the painful restructuring announced for public services. Schools all over Sweden are seeing their budgets reduced, while Gothenburg's hospital, which expects to run a deficit of 1.7 billion crowns between this year and next, estimates it will have to lay off 2,000 of its 17,000 employees if it hopes to just break even.
Well, just get rid of the middle management people who don't do anything.
Okay, once again, we're in a democratic socialist.
I understand.
Country.
There's
By the way, can I just say
socialism? Now you sound like AOC.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because we're not even a good democratic republic anymore, which is what we are, by the way. We are a democratic republic. Shut the hell up about we have to save democracy. Democracy is like one step above anarchy.
Mob rule.
All right? The founders were much smarter than that.
Bring the more
Maybe,
you know.
just maybe we could teach that in school instead of how to hate your country. Thank you.
Where'd you get that soapbox?
We have soap in it.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Squatch, if you have to know.
MSN, this from MSN.com. A New Hampshire woman fell into a dumpster at her Manchester housing complex on trash collection day.
Uh-oh.
And was picked up by a local garbage truck.
Of course she was.
Where fire officials say she was compacted up to 4 times before the driver noticed she was inside.
That seems like an awful hard way to, get smaller.
The woman, who's not been identified, but was described by neighbors as
square,
depressed,
cubish, actually.
Thank you. Actually, she was described as a 60-year-old resident, was rushed to a hospital in serious condition, but was expected to survive, according to local reports. I'm guessing they just had to iron out all the accordion folds in her body.
We watched way too many cartoons, didn't we?
Fire officials say the woman told them she'd somehow fallen into the dumpster while throwing out her trash.
Was there alcohol involved? Were there bottles in that trash?
Nobody says. Nobody says.
Okay.
Wasn't clear how long she was trapped inside the dumpster. Well, enough to be compacted 4 times. Neighbors watched the whole nightmarish scene unfold as firefighters scrambled to rescue the woman. All you heard was screaming, neighbor Amanda.
Why do I keep picturing this large square?
Come stomping out mad as hell.
Kind of like Mike Wazowski, only square.
Mike Wazowski. I'm watching you, Wazowski.
It should have been this.
Right? I use that on my students, by the way. Yeah.
My grandson's new favorite movie. You know what that means?
Yep.
Watching it over.
And over.
And over. I even got to watch Monsters University.
Yeah.
Which was also kind of fun, but over
and over.
The owner of an Alabama radio station. Thanks, Michelle. See, everyone in the world now knows about a Canadian restaurant that put circumcision in the sign. No one knows about an Alabama radio station whose owner is, quite frankly, stunned and out a lot of money after thieves stole his 200-foot radio tower. It was discovered last
metal, right? Scrap
I'm
metal.
Guessing?
Thing.
What else would you do with it?
Yeah.
So, start your own radio station?
I'm surprised they did it without killing themselves, because every now and again...
I'm surprised they did it without anyone noticing. It's a 200-pound... It's 200 feet. It's metal. It's not a toy.
There's a light on it, I guarantee you.
200 feet? Yeah, there would be 200 feet.
Yep.
I think, right? That's the limit.
Oh, it has to be.
Anything 200 feet or over has to have that so planes don't hit it.
Mm-hmm.
The theft was discovered when landscapers went to clean up the area. Where in the hell in Alabama do you put this that no one sees it?
Where in tarnation?
No, that'd be Okay. Brett Elmore, owner of WJLX in Jasper, then received an unexpected and rather baffling call. He said, Brett, we're down here and the tower's gone. I said, The tower's
Excuse me?
gone? The landscaper assured Elmore he had walked the property and the massive steel tower was nowhere to be found. That's one of those things like, well, did you look? Where do you look? It's either there or it's not.
I just
Elmore
think of
said-
all the radio stations we worked at, and we could always see
Yep.
the towers.
Always. That's where I found one of my cars once. Thanks, Joey. He thought it was funny.
I think
figured
it's funny.
I got him back. It was the Honda,
Yeah.
the Civic.
Yeah,
Joey's
yeah.
a big man. Just to get in and out of that thing, it was worth it. Ellsmore said, it's a 200-foot tower. You would see it somewhere if it was laying around. You would think.
It's like the guy who stole a bridge.
The small transmitter building had also been vandalized. I don't know why they didn't take the building. Just go ahead, take the building and the whole thing.
It was
At
it the
Elmore's-
building or the doghouse at the base of the...
At Elmore's direction, the landscaper looked inside and described what he saw: a wooden table, a metal chair, and a box fan. And then I knew, said Elmore, something very bad has happened. The transmitter was gone.
He had his transmitter in that shack?
A lot of places do. They have the transmitter out right by the tower. I mean, we haven't worked there. We've always had.
Yeah, our transmitters have always been in the building.
Right there because you had readings to take.
Yeah,
Back in the early days, especially.
yeah.
Ellsmore said, "I'm stunned." I said, "You're not
Really?
wrong, dude." He
Guy's
said,
got
"It's
a
one
big
thing to
truck.
break into a building and steal a transmitter. It's another thing to take the transmitter and a 200-foot tower."
How did they do it without getting killed?
You know, one morning I came in and I couldn't get the transmitter to go on because I opened it up. I'm going to see if I can restart it. I couldn't restart it because there was a dead, charred mouse
I remember that day.
with mouth
Around.
what was a wire. Yeah,
Oof.
nice
Didn't,
try, Mickey.
Didn't Del Dayton come up on that one?
Dell had to come up for that one.
Yeah.
No, this was up here, but Dell did actually came up to work. Todd called him because there was some replacing now to be done.
Okay.
Because that wire runs a long way back to the tower.
I love Dell's nickname,
I just called him Sir.
Phoenix.
The radio also rises.
Had to do with him wearing a leisure suit on an airplane.
The property where the tower once stood is behind the Marjack Poultry Processing Plant, which is surrounded by about 50 acres of woods. WJLX has 5 acres on the very edge of that property. So let me just get this straight here. There's large open space. It has a transmitter and its tower.
Mhm.
There's woods on one side. You are not dragging a 200-foot tower over the river and through the woods to Grandma's house.
They chopped it up. But that's a
How
time-consuming
long would
activity.
that take?
Well, if they
That
were,
was-
if the sheep did it, they could have done it a little at a time.
Turn your mic off for a while. Elmore said you would have to know it's back there. It's hard to get to, and there's only one way in and out. One way in and one way out. It's a dead-end road. And apparently they took it, sir.
A
He called his
dirigible, maybe?
engineers. See, I'm thinking there's got to be some weird thing. You know, James Bond in a helicopter?
Yeah.
Of course, you need the big double
Yes.
thinged whatchamacallit. Elmore called his engineers and the Alabama Broadcasters Association, then went to the Jasper Police Department. I might have done that in reverse order.
Yeah, exactly.
He said, "You got to be kidding me."
He's going to have to call the
tower.
FCC, too. They're going to wonder why he's not on the air.
The tower, by the way, is for the AM side of the AM/FM operation.
Okay.
The FM tower somewhere else, which was the AM is off the air. The FM's still working, and he has to get permission from the FCC to keep the FM on the air while they get the tower rebuilt, because that's not how it's licensed. Once again, the federal government mucking things up mightily.
Moronic.
Asked how much a rebuild would cost, Elmore said, "More than we have. We're a small market radio station."
Come on.
The estimate, he says, expected to be over 6 figures. I would have guessed in low to mid 6 figures, somewhere in there, in that 2 to 5 range.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What is it, 200 feet?
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I think, yeah.
And no, you don't have insurance on that property because, really honestly,
Mhm.
why would you have theft insurance?
Exactly. Well, you could call it an act of God. Maybe you can get it in there.
Elmore said the thieves likely got some copper from the transmitter, but he assumes the tower will just be sold for scrap. and he can only guess how the tower was dismantled. He said towers, about 10 or 20 feet, they'll disassemble, but that tower has been there for so long, I don't see them getting the bolts off. They'd have to cut those. He also pointed out Jasper Police Department is investigating. And with the poultry firm right there, Elmore is hoping someone saw something, or maybe on a surveillance camera, something. So far, no. He also pointed out it is a federal crime to tamper with federally licensed facilities. So there is that. Now you can have not only the local police, but you can have the federal cops not do anything.
Wow, that's big.
Or be
so many cops just standing around eating
not
donuts.
So big as you'd think. The FBI is busy. Really? Well, there's a Donald Trump thing. They have to take
yeah. They're
over and over and over and over and over. Hang on. And over.
This is true, really news. Send email to TITR@netradio.network.